welcome to Tough Talking Thursday. My name is Dennis Ja. This is Focus on Liberia, and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this edition of Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be looking at ritualistic killings in Liberia. And this is on the heels of a leaked audio purporting that there are some Liberians involved in this very evil act. With me on Tough Talking Thursday to discuss ritualistic killings, I have FOL political analyst Mr. Mohammed Sharif, a product of Waplo Institute from Kilipo, Kanwike. Mr. Sharif, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me.
Thank you. We also have our chief political analyst, Mr. Wimont Weti Kuni. Mr. Kuni, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Happy to be here.
We also have someone, a Sheikh and Islamic scholar who's going to be joining us in a minute, Sheikh Mohammed Kane. He's going to join us from Philadelphia to give us the religious dimension to this whole idea of ritualistic killing. Also, we'll expect our policy analyst, Call Famule, to join us. In the meantime, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is Tough Talking Thursday. We come to you every Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on Focus on Liberia. Gentlemen, from the beginning of the show, we play a clip there about something that is, you probably have heard from time immemorial in Liberia. But before I get your reaction to this startling revelation, I want to play another audio where Miss Ellen Cochran doubles down.
As we have heard earlier, former Liberia Aviation Authority Managing Director Ellen Cochran has accused the Solicitor General, Councillor Serena Sifos, and his collaborator, former rebel fighter Oforidea, of involvement in ritualistic killing in the country. Madam Cochran has been in a cell phone conversation with Prime FM.
So when he took me to advising her, because I had already worked for Oforidea and Sifos with the former medicine man who did the guinea power and sheep and things. So this time now, of course, I said, okay, yeah, let's wait. Because, something else on his side. So once the medicine man, the man said that, do your sacrifice in addition to animal sacrifice. I said, no, I get to your sacrifice. He said, well, that will be the fastest way for me to get results. I said, no. He said, you see the SG, and come the three virgin sacrifice. Then he got the position. And of course, there was the one that caught and captured check now three virgin girls in that girl to bring for the sacrifice for people. And right now, people have done another three sacrifice because he wants the Minister of Justice job. And the first one sacrifice was that old girls, virgin girls. He said for men that 3 girls, for women are 4 girls. So I guess you're going to say, well, why you not charge more for women and then get explain something which I didn't quite understand?
Gentlemen, that was the voice of Madam Ellen Cochran, the former RAA director in Liberia, talking to Prime FM in Monrovia, where she doubles down on the allegations that there's human sacrificing going on right there in Liberia. You heard the tape, we played at the beginning. Listening to that, what are your thoughts? Let me start with Mr. Sharif.
Well, my thoughts are, just this is bizarre. But as bizarre as that sounds, this is not, the first time that we've, encountered or heard of racialistic practices in Liberia. So just to set the groundwork for, some of the things that I think that we're going to be diving into today is that we don't have a real concrete historical evidence in early Liberian history regarding this kind of practice. All we've heard of, activities in early Liberian history is through traditional oral accounts. The most, I guess you could say, contemporary episode goes back to 1977. When in fact, and I'm talking about the Harper 7 that we've heard about, that we hear about constantly. The Harper 7 actually initially started as the Harper 12, 11 men and 1 woman were arrested between the month of July and August of 1977 in the city of Harper, Maryland County, for the death of Toy. I believe his name was Moses Toy. Moses Toy. Moses Toy was a local fisherman and a popular musician in Harper City. His disappearance caused an uproar, and a lot of higher-ups were involved with this brutal act in the city of Harper, the county of Maryland in southeastern Liberia. So at the end of it all, when it was all said and done, 7 men, 6 men and a woman were convicted and hanged in Harper under the leadership of President Tolbert. The most important thing to remember about the Harper 7 was that there were big wigs involved. You have someone like James Daniel Anderson, the superintendent of Maryland County. You have Allen Yancey. Allen Yancey was the son of former Vice President Allen Yancey Sr. Allen Yancey was also a member of the House of Representatives from Maryland County. Allen Yancey was former police chief in Maryland County. So you're talking about big wigs within the Liberian government structure. Yeah. James Anderson's father, if I may talk about him a little bit, his father.
And Mr. Sherry, we'll go into the history because we want to see where this thing started from. But listening to that tape, I mean, what are some of the things jumping out of you right now?
Well, I think, and what I was trying to do there is kind of set the stage for where we are right now.
Okay, go ahead.
But listening, what's that?
No, I said complete your thoughts.
Okay, so Anderson's father was national chairman of the True Whig Party, and so after the execution of the convicted men and women, Anderson Sr. resigned his position as national chairman of the True Whig Party, and he vowed revenge from all reports that was gathered during that time period. Anderson Sr. never forgave President Tolbert for this, and so a year after the assassination or overthrow of President Tolbert, one of the first individuals to send congratulatory messages to President Samuel Doe was Anderson Sr. It is alleged that Anderson Sr. actually built the first, sprawling mansion in the city of Tucson for President Samuel Doe. And so this is, where we go to touch base with some of the things that we're seeing now. So that Ms. Cochran is saying this is not something surprising. It has been happening. We've heard of these things in Liberian history. It's a matter of, its frequency. And so she's saying it this way and in graphic details. So the question is she believable? Is what she's saying, is she making this stuff up? I don't think that she's making this stuff up, but I also have no evidence to convict, any of, the individuals allegedly mentioned in her tape. It's just this is just an allegation, and I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to, convict any of the people mentioned. But it's bizarre. It happens. And what jumps out of me is that, the nation needs to then look at this very critically so that, we can come up, the government, civil society can come up with a way to, to have a handle on this.
Thank you. Mr. Cooney, you listened to the tape. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to say here that the whole idea of human sacrifice, the whole idea of ritualistic killing is very barbaric in these times, there can be no accommodation for that kind of behavior. And every decent human being should come against the killing of one human being by another for any kind of purpose. We know as we go into this issue, as you already indicated, we'll look at the historical perspective. This is an act, this is a behavior or a practice that is not only unique to Liberia, that is pervasive throughout Africa and even some other parts of the world. And many people tend to give cultural or religious justification to this kind of horrific killing. My contribution here tonight will be more in two areas. First of all, what can be the societal response to this gruesome act? And then my second contribution is to examine the integrity of this lady who has or who may be in possession of a reservoir of recordings of various government officials. This is important because this lady was promoted to the Liberian people as a very competent person, a member of the United States Armed military force, specifically the Air Force. I'm beginning to wonder, as to our ethics, as to our character, as to our integrity. This whole idea of engaging in conversation with people, recording them without letting them know that they are being recorded, right, and then you just go and spray it out. I mean, I think it is about time we examine the character of this individual. I mean, who does this?
And definitely we'll come to this.
So those are the two areas my contribution would be examining your character and what can be societal response to this horrific practices that is not only unique to Liberia, but is pervasive throughout the continent and beyond.
Thank you so much. I want to welcome Sheikh Mohammed Kane. He's an Islamic scholar joining us from Philadelphia. Sheikh Mohammed, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much. First of all, my name is Sheikh Mohammed Kane, Liberian living in the United States, Philadelphia in particular. I'm a graduate of the Islamic University of Medina, that's Saudi Arabia. I did Islamic law, and I got my master in public administration here in the state. Upon the listening to the tape, the point that I want to emphasize here today is the religious aspect about this kind of ritual killing. What particularly what the Islam say about Islamic view about killing innocent people. If you watch social media or you watch, for the past 20 years now, we've been seeing, people killing people under the pretense of jihadis or Islam. They disguise themselves under the religion, and religion have nothing to do about it. So technically, with respect to this tip particularly, what really baffled me is when I heard the word Kamon. That Kamon was one of the instrumental figure, with respect to doing this kind of act. So I will concentrate on that if you guys give me more chance to do. And then the Islamic view, the Holy Quran, what the Holy Quran say about killing, the punishment about killing, I will concentrate on that as well.
Thank you so much. And Sheikh Mohammed, this is your first time on Focus on Liberia. So on behalf of all of us, I want to welcome you. Instead of water, I have some ginger water here because it's COVID time. We say welcome to Focus on Liberia, and I hope you come back.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Sure, I'll be there. Thank you.
thank you. So, and it's very important. That's why we invited you, because especially in Liberia, when they say Kamo, when they say Mole Man, all these things, they have some, especially for those of us who do not know Islam that well, the connection there is either Islam or Madingo. So that's why you are here to clarify for us. And the person who was named there say is a Kamo, and Kamo probably something like an Islamic teacher. So we're going to go into that. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll open our phone lines very early, but we have to deal with some things here. So listening to the tape, okay, and Mr. Kuni, you talk about the character and all that. But does it look like this is fake? This is made up? Because the whole idea of human sacrifice is not new in Liberia, and she herself admitted that she had done so before, and now this was time to elevate the whole ball game when it comes to sacrifice, because the issue she was in is grip. So, gentlemen, does it look like something that was made up? Does it look fake? Does it look real? We know the Serena Sifa has not responded. Ofori Diaz, the former general, by the way, Ofori is a former general of the Liberian Liberation for Liberian United for something, LURD. It's for LURD. And by the way, I think the last time when he was in the news, he represented the Generals Association, the former generals, those who killed our people. They have formed themselves into a group, and they're very powerful in the city. So he's an ex-general. He's the former chief of staff of Liberia United for Reconciliation and Democracy, LUR. His name is Ofori Dia. That time when he was in the news, he gave Representative Koluba Yeke, or Yeke Koluba, 72-hour ultimatum to report himself to their head office. Does it look fake to you? Let me start with you, Mr. Kuni. The authenticity of that audio recording. He, Ofori, was on 50-50 on a show today, I think today or yesterday. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm not a voice recording analyst, but the recording appeared genuine. And the recording has to be separated from the act.
Yeah.
The act of ritualistic killing in Liberia is real. Is real. That's something that we all know. The authenticity of this tape is something that I don't think it is in question. But what concerned me most listening to the tape is what was said and what was not said. For example, I hear an individual proposing a bribery scheme to someone who's supposed to be our chief prosecutor. And that offer was not immediately dismissed. That statement was not immediately repudiated.
Yeah.
Then the person moved from the bribery offer and elevated to human sacrifice. Again, this is our chief prosecutor. That kind of statement was not immediately repudiated. The chief prosecutor was not distancing himself from those kind of criminal, wicked acts, but was still trying to find a way as to how things would be done. That what concerned me in the tape. Those are the points, those are the concerning movement of the tape. So you may have said something, or we can say, well, he has not responded. But for me, it's what was not said.
Yeah.
That what concerned me, that what bothers me. And
right.
the other thing that I observed on the tape, you see the lady with that manipulative nature. What kind of woman goes around calling people, oh, my husband? I mean, this is a disarming way. I believe she go in to get people in this position. My husband, when you got no real relationship, and she disarm individuals in this manner, while the tape is rolling, putting them on record, only to find another day to release it. Those are the concerning things for me.
Right. And we'll come to this Ellen Cochran phenomena, because how she gets to these guys to spill out their guts. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. It keeps going. We'll get to that. But let me hear Mr. Sharif on this whole thing. The authenticity, the how she get this big guy to fall for whatever she said. And as Mr. Cooney pointed out, she's talking about 4,000. This and bribery and human sacrifice. But this guy is really not his concern. His concern is to mend fences between the general and Ellen Cochran.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah. Listen. So, Mr. Coney put it right. I don't doubt the authenticity of the tape, right? So it is real. He was talking to Cephas, and I don't think that, and I mentioned that before. This is authentic. It's an authentic recording, but can this withstand the scrutiny of litigation? I don't think so. I don't think that you can then legally, indict and perhaps succeed in convicting Mr. Cephas with this tape because he did not go alone, right? So even when the proposal for the human sacrifice was put forth by Ms. Cochran, you saw that Mr. Cephas pulled back a little, and he said, "That what he said? He's not a good man." Something along those lines. So to me, he kind of extricated himself. He left himself some room where he can then say in a court of law, but listen, I didn't say I was engaged in it. I didn't say absolutely yes that I was agreeing to go along with it. So you can't, public opinion, yes, but we can't sit here and indict him for that. The tape is authentic, but Cephas has not, committed any crime. I don't think. Now, as far as Ellen Cochran, man, and you made an excellent point. I mean, she has, this magnet, right? If you could call it that, for lack of a better word, of getting guys to talk. Like, what is it about her? The phenomenon that is Ellen Cochran, right? It's unbelievable that she gets these guys to talk, right? And when she's talking, you can know, as a student of communication, I can know that there is something going on, right? Because of her line of questioning. But somehow those guys don't pick it up, and they just continue to talk, and they'll talk themselves out. And she'll say, excuse me, did you just say, this particular date and time? And so she wants to make sure that she's recording the exact date and time and the exact words. So she's very, very meticulous. For some reason, for some odd reason, these guys can't pick that up. It's incredible.
And this is supposed to be a law enforcement.
Exactly.
So Sheikh Mohammed, if we can get you there, have you heard, any other ritualistic story murder, ritualistic murder stories that you've heard of, that you've witnessed, that you read about, that you want to share? Because we've been in Liberia, we've heard stories. Can you share with us any experience wherever you've been that something like this happened? Check. We're having a connection issue there with Sheikh Mohammed. So Sheikh, if you're with us, can you hear me now?
Yes, I am.
I want you to share any ritualistic murder story that you know of, experience, or witness. Okay.
Actually, the recent ritualistic killing that I heard about, it happened in Ivory Coast. It happened in Ivory Coast. I didn't witness it, but it was on social media, and there is close friends, share with me.
All right. We lost the Sheikh again. So if it is not possible, you can call the phone line. Sheikh Mohammed want our back room to arrange that with with the Islamic scholar, because we need the religious dimension to this. Let's go to the, and we'll come to Ellen Cochran later, but I want to go to this. I want us to look at this idea of sacrifice. Oh, not human sacrifice, but sacrifice. It could be a blood sacrifice, but sacrifice as a whole is nothing new. It's all in our religious books. So I want us to look, and that's what one thing I want the Islamic scholar to look at too. The idea of sacrifice, of human sacrifice, may be killing. So what is the purpose of sacrifices in the Islamic faith? Let me check. Go ahead and talk about that, or what you. If it is not possible, Sheikh, you can call my phone number and we can put you through.
Okay. The story I was trying to share with you guys, with our audience, is it occurred in Ivory Coast, in the city called Man, when the prayer caller, we call him Muazzin, the man who can call for prayer early in the morning, he called people for prayer. He entered the market like around 4 a.m. to do his job, because he's like an assistant to the imam. And then when he entered the masjid, before he started his duty as calling people for prayer, somebody jumped out of the fence and came and stabbed him with a knife and killed him instantly. This gentleman, for some reason, I don't know, it's because of the curse or something like that, for some reason, he did not run away. He remained right there until the people came, and then they grabbed him, and then they called the police. So police interrogated him. They asked him, why you killed this man? So he told the people that he went to a spiritual person that told him that if he killed the man who called him for prayer in the morning or anytime, if you kill that person, you're going to be the richest man on earth. So he said, that's why I killed this man. So these are the kind of things that happen in Africa, in particular, but in so many parts of the world. There is an evil motive behind it. It had nothing to. It's not religious. It is devilish. It's a devil work. They tell them that, if you do this one, you will be the richest person, or if you do this one, you will be senator, or you will be a president. So these are some of the reasons that they're killing people for. But when it comes to Islamic view with respect to killing, I don't know if I can postpone that, or I should just go ahead.
Right. And Sheikh, let me call you. The connection is bad, so let me call you on my phone, and then you talk to me from the phone, okay, if that's fine.
Okay. All right.
All right. We have more questions for Sheikh Mohammed, so. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much.
All right. My next question.
Like I was saying, that gentleman, that was a justification of that gentleman of killing that innocent person,
right,
for no apparent reason. The reason behind it, because he wanted to be the richest man, and the person who told him to do it, he motivated him to do it, to kill this person, to take this person's life, for no reason but because he want to be the rich man.
Okay, so Mohammed, does this thing really work from your experience?
As far as I'm concerned, devil is busy, and sometimes, according to my experience, these things happen, and it works sometimes.
All right.
Sometimes it works, yes.
So one more
question. I did not experience it. I didn't practice it, but from what we heard, so many devils, the devil is busy, and sometimes God can help them to succeed,
Right.
So they do so many evil stuff, and then it works.
So Sheikh, this whole concept of sacrifice, let's forget human sacrifice, but cow sacrifice, goats, the Muslims do that a lot. What is the meaning of the whole idea of sacrifice in religion? Because it has to do with blood. It's not a meat, right?
No, it generally is not about the blood, but it's is the faith. They call it the faith, because God said, I don't need the blood. I don't need the meat. I don't need the meat flesh. All I need is the faith. In Islam, we call it Iman. The faith that you have in you, that you're doing this one for the sake of God. So that is what Allah is looking at. If you see every year Muslims make some sacrifice for Eid al-Adha, it's not because of the meat. Allah is not eating the meat, or Allah is not benefiting from the blood we share, but the motive behind it is to help the poor, those who cannot afford to eat meat for some reason because of their economic situation. We share with them. But God is not benefiting from the meat, and God is not benefiting from the blood either.
Mr. Sharif,
Yes.
why do God and other supreme beings call for sacrifices?
Well, the Islamic scholar Imam Kenna is in a better position than I must admit, to say why the Almighty summoned humanity to offer sacrifice. As he mentioned, I can't add more than that. God Almighty, whom we call Allah, does not need the blood. Allah does not need the meat. Allah is omnipotent. Allah is almighty, doesn't need any of that. But it's a matter of showing your faith. It's a demonstration of your faith, right? So if you feed a hungry person, right? If you feed a neighbor, regardless whether this neighbor is a Muslim or Christian, if you share with this neighbor, right? This is the kind of thing that we are commanded to do. Right,
Mr. Sherry, not to cut you off, but that could be, you could go buy something, you could go kill a deer. I mean, but this one, they are specific for animals, and I think the highest sacrifice of camel, right? So with these things, God is very intentional about these animals, right? You can't get a raccoon, you can get a deer, elephant, all these things. So there must be something specific about this sacrifice, and I really think that it's all about the blood.
But I will push back to say, when you talk about raccoon, right? So, how much meat, in terms of quantity, how much meat does the raccoon have?
Elephant got more meat. Hippo got more meat.
Rabbit have?
Hippo got more meat. Elephant, deer, antelope. All these got meat, right? Or chicken. But most of the time is these animals.
Most of the time is our domestic animals. So how much time do you have? So if you are to make a sacrifice like tomorrow morning, which is Friday, and someone comes to my door and say, come with me, Muhammad, we're going to make a sacrifice. And what time do we have to go into the bushes to go and hunt that animal, right? So there's some efforts involved, and we know as Muslims, the Almighty Allah has made everything easy for us, right? There is nothing that Allah has given us that we ourselves, He has not made anything difficult for us. So we have domestic animals, and I'm sure Imam Kenna can speak to this better than I. We have domestic animals for those reasons. And so I don't think it's a question of, just spilling that blood. And I will add real quickly, is that in predominant, because Islam, as the Imam said, because Islam, this is an affront, a direct affront, and a clear violation of Islamic Islamic law, Islamic prohibitions. You have in predominantly Muslim countries far fewer cases of ritualistic killings than it is in other countries. So let's take the example of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. When you and I live in Guinea, there were a lot of refugees, hundreds of thousands of refugees that live in Guinea, but not a day that you heard that there was a case of ritualistic killing in Guinea. At least I never heard of any case in Guinea. You contrast that with Liberia. It's almost like every month of the year you hear of ritualistic killing in Greenville, in Maryland, in Harper, in different parts of the country. And
Thank
so
you.
Islam is very emphatic on the fact that if you kill one person, it's like you've killed the entire world. And the Imam again can speak to this very succinctly. But
Thank
I
you.
believe that the Islamic law prohibition is very clear.
All right. Mr. Kune.
Mr. Dennis, if you allow me, let me jump there quick with respect to the the animals. Why God choose certain animals?
Right. I will come back to you, Sheikh.
Come to that? Okay.
Yeah, let me go to it because I want to look at the history here. Because it's very easy to point finger as to why we get this thing in our midst about ritualistic killing. Mr. Kune, let's look at history here, the history of this whole ritualistic killing. It is and you made a point earlier that it's like all over Africa. I was researching for this, and when you put in Zambia, they had to even burn people alive because they were allegedly participating in ritualistic murders. In Liberia, where does this come from? It's all in our history. I wanted to even check, it goes as far back as way before the 1979 murder that Mohammed is talking about, but it goes way back, right? Where does this come from in Liberia?
Well, look, for me, I would attribute to a part of human greed, really. The human greed. If you even check the prehistoric times we're talking about, the sacrifice were made for the one who is doing the killing to receive benefit for himself or herself. That's the reason why those sacrifices were made. And that's the reason why they've been made throughout our time. So it is always that desire of one man to accumulate as much as they can get. Besides the political ritualistic killing, there is this money ritualistic killing, that you hear about in places like Nigeria. People going to ritualistic killing to advance their business. I mean, these things happen for all of the reason they happen. They are all selfish reasons. And the religious piece, again, I'm not qualified like Sherry. I'm not qualified to speak religiously, but we all know many of the religions have been perverted by criminal-minded people, by wicked-minded people, where religion is being used to cover their wickedness, their criminality, and they're saying that they are advancing some faith. So these things are being, they've been here from prehistoric time to the recording of human activity, and it keeps progressing. Now, one thing you will realize is that the chances of those things continuing decreases as society advances. Because, those things were prevalent in Europe as well, but the incidence of, the occurrences in Europe and in America now cannot be compared anywhere, because these institutions, they've advanced, these countries have advanced. So maybe, it's also linked to the social, economic, political development of that country. You see, so it's all motivated by greed. You talk about the Zambian incident. Look at the albinos in Tanzania. People who believe that there is some potency in the blood of the albinos to make them powerful, to make them rich. So albinos, they face a massive human rights abuse in Tanzania, documented by the UN. And then there is also this belief that people that look different, people that may be born with biological defect and other things, are not fit to live as humans. You find these kind of people suffering horrific human rights violations, even in places like Ethiopia, given the wild animals. They got they call them the Zazurus and all of these things. So I think all of this thing is man wickedness to man. Right. That's why it boils down to. And most of it is motivated by greed. And the more underdeveloped the society is, the chances are these kind of behavior continue.
Thank you. Sheikh Mohammed, every time we hear sacrifice or human sacrifice or something, the reference is either they say, come on, like in the tip, and I will play the tape again or some part of it. It's a Kamon that points to the Muslim faith. So tell us about this idea of Kamon, Mole man. People that do this, most of from experience, it will be someone who is from the Muslim faith calling for them in Liberia specifically. So are they using the religion, or is there something there that tells people that, oh yes, these things work?
Thank you so much. Let me go back a little bit. First of all, Islam came to West Africa through Arab traders from Morocco, Mauritania, and you name them. It was not like as organized as the Christianity came from the West to us in West Africa. Most of the people that attached to, they share border with the North Africa, they embraced Islam, then it came down to us all the way to the coast. But for some reason, a lot of people did not get the real picture of Islam, the real teaching of Islam at the time, because they got it from people. They were just busy with their business, and they were not scholars, they were not imams, they were just making their business. So for some reason, they got attracted by the residents of the west coast of Africa, and then they embraced Islam. I just wanted to give you that little background of how Islam came to us. Okay, and war Kamor, is our traditional way of calling it. The Arabs, they don't call it Kamor, they don't call it Molime, but this is how our people, that's a name our people give to someone who had a Islamic background or who knows the Islamic, who has Islamic knowledge. So when someone is referred to as Kamor means teacher. Yeah. Yes, in our so many dialects that connected to each other, starting from Loma, some Popolupele, Vai, Madingo. Most of these people, they call it Kamor for that reason, because the Islamic teachers, those who used to teach people Islam all the way, like serving as an imam or Arabic teacher in the town, they call it Kamor. But quickly coming back to our point of discussion here is this. Most of those who was practicing or encouraging people to do the ritual killing, it was un-Islamic. It is not Islamic. It was like the Mr. Puni was saying right now, it was out of greed, and these people, this so-called Kamon, they want to get their living out of giving people misinterpretation of Islam religion, which gives the wrong picture of Islam, to our people.
Thank you.
Otherwise, yes, the Islam, the Quran say in Quran chapter 5 verses 32 that if you kill one soul, it's like you have killed the whole mankind. If you save one soul, it's like you have saved. So that means killing people for no justification reason. Because when I say justification, if there is an Islamic country where they practice Sharia, if you kill someone, so if they kill you, that's the justification. But what we're talking about here, looking at somebody or killing him because he's albino or because he's she is like a virgin girl. If you kill that one, you will be a president. Or if you do this, all this has no justification in Islam. So if you, according to the Islam religion, Islam, the Quran say that anyone kill people like that, definitely you're going to go to hellfire.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me go to the tape again so that people joining us. This is focused on Liberia, and this is Tough Talking Thursday. So after this telephone or purported telephone interview or conversation with Ellen Cochran and Serena Cephas, she called into the radio station in Monrovia, and this is the conversation. Take a listen again.
With Prime FM.
When you said for men that 3 girls, for women are 4 girls. So I just told him, well, why you not charge more for women? And then he explained something which I didn't quite understand. I don't know, because of the mechanism that has to do with the women, female part, and something was saying. So I just left that lesson.
That's what the medicine man was telling you. Is that what the medicine man was?
Yeah, exactly. And it's $12,000 for a virgin girl that you have to pay. So in other words, if I had done it, they would have charged me $48,000. But when they do it for men, that's $36,000 because they want to take 3 girls for men, but women are 4. So I told them no, I will not do virgin girls. They said if you don't do the virgin girls, then we have to do 77 cows. So that's what we ended up doing. So I sent the money to Florida for him to take to the medicine man. I communicated with people at home. So when he carried the money
to sacrifice 77 cows. To sacrifice 77 cows.
77 cows for sacrifice, 100%.
Instead of human sacrifice.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I would have had to do 4 virgin girls, which is $48,000.
Okay.
But when we did the 77 cows, it came to just over 70,000 or around 72,000 because they calculated it when it says for the cow that you can get it for $1,000 money, you get it for $800. I don't know because I never bought a cow in Liberia before. I believe them. So that's the money I transferred to Fury for him to do the 77 cows for me.
You were doing these sacrifices so that the tension in America can be reduced, your shoulder of or what? Why were you doing all of these sacrifices?
The second sacrifice when I did the 77 cows, yes, that was for the tension in America. The first time when I did the Malian sheep, the cow, and the guinea fowl, when I was in Liberia because of the DXL Republican, so that's correct.
There you have it, guys. 77 cows. Okay, here's the story. She in that call, she said she had worked with Ofori earlier when she was in Liberia. She did guinea fowl. This time they wanted a fast track process because the more the issue, based on the gravity of the issue, you have to give more. And this time, 4 virgin girls, 12,000 for each girl. So the total is 48,000. She doesn't want to do virgin girls, but she's accustomed to doing guinea fowls and animals. So this time she was going to do guinea fowls, she was going to do animals, and she had already given that money to Ofori. Mr. Kuna, you are shaking your head.
Yeah, because sometimes when I come here, when I talk about the intelligentsia, you and my brother Sherry, you're trying to, shut me down. This is Liberian intelligentsia you're listening to. This is the person that was promoted to be, an intelligentsia, competent, highly educated, member of the United States Army, Air Force. That's how you sold this woman to us. And you gave this woman our airport to manage. And here is the woman talking like a very illiterate woman. Illiterate. I don't even want to compare her to anything. This woman is like digging into witchcraft and all kinds of things, in unimaginable ways. And that's why I'm shaking my head, Dennis.
Well, Mr. Kuni, she's not alone. She's talking with the Solicitor General. According to the story, she has done this before. Ofori, who's the general or the chairman of all the generals, right, is the one. And according to the story, he has done it for Serena Sifos, he has done it for Nathaniel Mangill, and even he has done it for President Weah. These are grave allegations.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go that far because she's the one admitting to it. Those people are not here to admit to what she's saying. But she is admitting to her role. So I think the focus should be on her. But
they have said nothing. You listen to Serena Sifos, he did not push back. His concern was
I mentioned that earlier,
right,
with
so
Serena Sifos.
Does that show consent, acquiescence, or let this one slide?
And I did mention that, but I will not go beyond Serena Sifos to other names that she's calling, who are not here to even give their names.
Do you think Serena Sifos is in this thing?
Well, I agree with Sherry. There is nothing there chargeable, but I was just kind of concerned that he didn't give the kind of pushback that I would expect from a Solicitor General. When somebody offer you a bribe, when somebody talk about this kind of thing, there is a certain pushback that should come from that kind of higher office. I didn't see it. But whether it is his complicity in that, those are all legal terms. But basically what I'm saying, look, this is this lady here. And I said we need to delve into this lady here.
But you are leaving. It's like you're crucifying the messenger. Let's look at
No,
the
she's
message.
not the messenger. She's the queen of witchcraft. She's the queen of human sacrifice by her own admission. That's how I'm taking her. She's the queen of sacrifice. She is the queen of that. And that's what I'm saying. This is the woman that we believe was in the was she sacrificing these things to get promoted in the U.S. Army? Is that how she got a promotion? This is the scrutiny. What did she do? How did she get into the U.S. Army? How did she get all her promotions? I think these things require examining. Maybe the woman had a long history of sacrificing people from Africa to reach to where she is, or else she would not be so comfortable talking about sacrifice.
Thank
you. People don't get so comfortable talking about things that they don't know about or they don't do. You see, Dennis? And then this charm, she got this charm recording people. This woman was the one that produced the recording for Director Massacre, Defense Minister Samuka. There is some, I want to believe, like my brother said, look, they got the dark forces, the evil forces that work. Even you read the Bible, they tell you Satan walk around with all the evil people trying to, do these things. The woman is part of a huge evil force. And I think instead of just looking at somebody who is a whistleblower, we need to call her out in this context. That's what we need to do. That's what I'm here to do.
Right. And let's look at all sides of this. Mr. Sharif, this the first time we heard Ellen Cochran, there was this issue at the RIA. She fled the country on charges, and then she showed the recording. When those recordings were played, I believe her, right? Because these were actual people, Samuka, Massacre, Clarice Ja, and the rest of the people on the tape. And then the government said, well, she stole money, she's a fugitive, and the rest is history. Now she's back, and she went to Liberia. Those charges were dropped by the same Serena Cephas. Okay, and because according to what she said, that time she used cow and guinea fowl.
Man, you follow all of this stuff.
Mr. Sharif, is this and this is not new within our high government cycles? What's your take? Can we believe that Serena Silva may have something to do with it? Ofori could be the poster boy. Ofori is pushing back. He was on 50-50.
And I want to pick up on that last point that you just made. And this is not new to the Liberian, the Liberian culture, right? So even in the mid-1970s, when we talk about the Harper Seven that I talked about earlier, Francis Nyempan had a master's degree from Howard University. Francis Nyempan, one of the Harper Seven, who was hanged in Cape Hammers in 1979, February of 1979. He had a master's degree from Howard University, and he was one of the people who was involved in the ritualistic killing of Moses Stewart. Francis Nyempan wanted to become the chief education officer or something for Maryland County, and some of those other guys wanted higher positions. So it's not unique to Ellen Cochran. So fast forward, coming to Ellen Cochran though, she, the first time, she said she sacrificed a cow, right? So, that went away. And now the whole issue with, allegedly with the human sacrifice was too big for her to handle. I don't think any of the people, I don't believe any of the people that she's implicating now can pass any sort of legal scrutiny, even Ofori Dia. I mean, this can't pass legal scrutiny. If she needed to indict them, she needed to do more. But it's almost as if she was very anxious to get a tape, to get a recording, so she can put it right out there. She was too quick to release this. She has no solid evidence to indict any of these people, regardless of the fact, regardless of whether we don't like them or not.
Mr. Sharia, I'm not talking court issues here now. I'm looking at the tape and examining what we're hearing. But we have callers. Callers, if you want to join the conversation, please call the number that is on the screen. You can call our WhatsApp number. And Sheikh Mohammed, you can jump in anytime. I don't want you to get, but you can jump in anytime. So,
Okay.
Based on this, the WhatsApp number is also there. You can call the WhatsApp number and join. And I want, what should Serena Sifos do at this point, or what should we expect? Do we expect any investigation? Or Sheikh Mohammed, you witness these things, and you probably follow them as well. What should be the response? Should the government open an investigation? Should Serena Sifos come up to talk about this, or should he resign? What should happen?
As far as I'm concerned, this kind of situation, the government must step in and the perpetrators or whosoever is involved in this thing, because or alleged perpetrators need to be interrogated and ask them their side of story. Actually, I don't have the whole detail about this whole stiffer issue. I have not been following it. So I don't have no. But if this kind of allegation go after any or ex-government official or government official need to be bring to justice, and ask them what is doing and what is doing for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take a caller here. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is J. Michael Weir, and I call you from Nairobi, Kenya.
Welcome, Michael. What's your take? Ritualistic killings in Liberia.
It reminds me when I was a little boy coming around the Newfoundland area in Sino County. We heard these things and we experienced some of these things about ritualistic killing. As I grew up, it almost happened twice in my family. So it's not something that is strange. My father was, hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, my father was a classroom teacher. He served as principal for the Plow Elementary and Junior High School back then. So there was a time in 2016, my father left the town and he got lost for like 4 days in the bush. And later he was found. So he narrated his story that when he was in that bush, in those bushes rather, and what he experienced was that he climbed in a tree, and the only thing he saw down were wildlife animals, lions, and those animals. So those are things that happen in our setting, in our terrain. So then, or recent, my elder brother, his son, who is at the age of 7 years old, got missing 2 days in the bush. And he was almost to be killed due to some prayer, and I would say because of God. And he was found again. But sad to say, the commissioner of that place went and fined my brother because, according to him, that my brother was reckless. That's why the child got missing for 2 days in the bush, in the forest. So I don't know which part of the law is that. So these kind of issues are things that we experience on a daily basis, especially in Liberia, even in Kenya. In Kenya, sometimes you watch the news, you will see somebody is being killed, just dump the body and they extract some parts from that person. So it's something that happens in Africa.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Thank you. And
thank you so much.
Thank you. More callers are coming in. So, we play the tape, we listen to that. And what we see here is, it's the chilling account of virgin girls. This should be a desirable thing, right? For girls to be virgin, right? But if their life now in danger for doing the right thing, this is just sad and pathetic. But let me bring in one caller. what I want you to think about here is, what do we do about this kind of thing? It keeps happening, and every time it happens, even though we all try to commend President Turbo for the stance taken, I still don't know whether that trial was even fair. Whether they really had due process. I still don't know whether that was the only thing, because it's like something happened, you do it one time and then that's it. But that's another story. Let me bring in the caller here. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man? My name is Japa Reeves.
Go ahead, Japa. You're live.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the program today. I think it's very important for our community. There's a lot of people over there on the show that is much older than me, perhaps have a lot of relational knowledge than I do. But one good thing I know for fact is that sacrifice, as in going out of your will to give or to demonstrate something unusual, it is in the interest of seeking some power. I mean, scream like a big power to subdue someone or to subdue a situation. And half of the time, those things are done by unqualified people or by guilty people. Now, even in Christianity, sometimes we give, for us, for me, it's my faith, so I know for a fact that when you give, it's good to give. But sometimes we give so that we can reap more, or to subdue a situation, or to influence somebody, or to influence a condition. That's why we give. Now, in all of faith, they do sacrifice animals. They do, some people in the demolish, in most demolish faith, they do sacrifice people. Even in the Illuminati, they abuse people. So all of these things have, for me, I believe it has some kind of motive to subdue a situation or to subdue someone. And if you subdue someone by that means, for me, I think it's evil.
Thank you.
But I heard the Imam said that the reason people do the animal sacrifice is to give to the needy. It's to give to people that are hungry. And that was a very good point that you described, because if that was the case, why don't they use chicken, bird, or some of these little animals? You see? But if you kill that animal and more people eat it, you conjure all those spirits and add it onto your spirit to boost and seduce that condition or that situation or that person. That's what sacrifices are for.
Thank you.
And with the issue of the Eddie Okon thing, for me, I mean, I really, really do want to believe that there's some kind of fact, some kind of truth associated with this. Because if you look at the body posture of Ofori Dia today in the Sky FM studio addressing the issue, if you do body language in criminal justice, if you do interrogation, you're going to see some kind of link around this thing that has to be factual.
Thank you.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let me take one more caller, then I'll go back to you, my Professor Larry Davis. You're alive.
Yes, Dennis, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's great to speak to you again. I hope your family is doing well. Listen, this question is for your panel. I am wondering, what is the origin of this ritualistic killing in Liberia, and how common is it across Liberia and Africa? That's my question, and I'll take my answer out there.
Thank you. Starting with you, Mr. Kune, let's go first to Professor Davis. What is the origin and how prevalent is it in Liberia?
Well, to be honest with you, my first time hearing about ritualistic killing, the reference point for most Liberians of my age would be the Maryland case. That was the first time I heard something about ritualistic murder. But across Africa, based on readings, I mean, this is something that occur every time, from country to country, like I indicated earlier. You talk about Zambia, the Copper Bell of Zambia, I think it was 2019 when this 19-year-old student was killed and dismembered in Zambia. And even the police that were conducting the investigation, they said the perpetrators turned to some rats, so they couldn't find the perpetrators. So I mean, this is a widespread thing. And even in Liberia, I think even Madam Salik, when she was president of Liberia, she spoke about the increase in ritualistic killing in Liberia. Yeah. So this is a phenomenon that is occurring from Liberia to other part of the continent, Nigeria, as I indicated, Ethiopia, for different reasons. But with my own recollection about it in Liberia, it started with the Maryland incident when I was a child.
Right, and let me before Mohammed come in, there's a long history of Liberia. Even if you look at our walls, long time, they will talk of these people. In 1926, when the Harvard expedition team went to Liberia, they were men caught in Niba County they called them the leper men. So these were leper men. So the idea of people using human sacrifice is as old as, it's even older than the Republic of Liberia. And I also want to mention that that Maryland murder was not the first, right? It was the first that were being persecuted because it's too late and all these things were always there. And then also when we learned, we used to say the society people. So I don't know which one. It could be UBF, it could be Mason. I don't know which of it, but we all call them society people. And our believers, this was what they were engaging in. So these things were always there, except that, in fact, I think Todburn could not prosecute that. When Todburn came, that's the time he was able to prosecute this case. So that's, as far as my recollection, that's what happened. When our people fought war, according to the legends that we learned, that we heard, that we were told, people donated their own children to be killed. So these things happen in Africa for a long time. In Liberia, again, people talk about, maybe when they say ritualistic killing, they try to link that to the settlers or American Liberians, because according to them, they were looking for a job and brought it. But from our history, that was there even before the arrival of the settlers, as far as my recollection concerned. Mr. Sheriff.
You are absolutely, you're correct. So there's no well-documented history of ritualistic killings in early Liberia. What we've all heard from our, early childhood is, oral traditions from, oral historical accounts from our parents, or in some instances, our grandparents. What we all are, saw or heard of the 1977 episode was the most documented account of ritualistic killings in Liberia, because, as you mentioned, it was tried. President William V.S. Tubman, before Tolbert, President Tubman was accused of committing ritualistic murders. In fact, it was alleged that the president drank human blood, and he often washed his face with human blood, and this is the reason why Allen Yancey was never prosecuted. It is alleged. Plus, Allen Yancey was a cousin of President Tubman, and so there was all those intricacies. And so, in 1977, when the Harper 12 incident occurred, a very gruesome murder of a man of Kru origin from Grand Cess, who was, mutilated, his genitalia, his nose, his ears, his armpits and neck, all were extracted. His intestines were all extracted for ritualistic purposes. And this was done by individuals who were already in higher positions. So as Mr. Kunin mentioned, this is greed. It's greed. It's selfishness. And so one of the things that you mentioned, Dennis, you were asking is, why did these things happen? And I'm very interested in that. They happen because of greed. So in Liberia, what you have is that government, public service is very enticing. Public service becomes a conduit for people to get out of poverty. Public service is where you go and make real living, not in the private sector, but public service. So everyone around wants to go into public service. And when you get into public service, you want a very high position. How do you acquire a high position? You commit these things for those who engage in it so that you can be elevated, right? So those are some of the things. Another thing about another motivation of ritualistic murder is, for instance, the issue with Ellen Cochran right now. So someone is, held up in the judicial system. They want a speedy trial. They want a trial that's favorable to them, and they go to, a juju man, so to speak, and the juju man says, hey, I need you to perform X, Y, and Z for you to get out of this situation. And so, what does this all mean? It means that the government of our time and afterward need to look at this and come up with a solution. To me, what is the solution? The solution is government job cannot be this enticing that when you get into public service that, this is the conduit to wealth. So government jobs should not be the central focus of every young man and woman, right? The second thing is a transparent judicial system must be instituted in Liberia, all over the place. Fairness and economic equality for all. And I think those are some of the panacea that will go a long way in perhaps not eradicating, but minimizing these incidences of ritualistic killings.
Mr. Sherry, when you say greed, when someone is greedy, it means does this presuppose that this thing work and that's why the people are hungry for it, or is outright ignorance and stupidity as well?
Yeah, as the Imam mentioned, Imam kind of rightly mentioned, he mentioned that these things, while it's condemned and across different religious beliefs, but they do have they do have the power to work. So they do work. That's why people engage in it, right? So if it didn't, in some instances, if it didn't work, then they won't engage in it. But the Imam mentioned that in some instances they do work, right? And so if it didn't, then people would not engage in it. The devil, he said, the Imam said, the devil is working while we are, serving our God, serving Allah or God or Yahweh. While we are serving our Creator, the devil is also working. So is this, the antithesis of good. So the devil is the antithesis of good. And so the clash of these values will always be present in our human lives.
Thank you. Based on that, Howard is asking, you're doing ritualistic killing, but you're still the fourth poorest country in the world. Where are the ritualistic killings to make all the citizens rich? What a joke. They're just evil to one another. Then Dave Jai said, I wonder how many human sacrifices America made to build all the skyscrapers, space travel, improved agriculture. Africa is doomed if we continue to give credence to nonsense that cannot be proved. Mr. Kune.
Yeah. I think the opposition, the rejection of ritualistic killing is well documented also. And as much as we agree that it exists in Liberia, there are so many people of goodwill that object to ritualistic killing. But the reason why I keep coming back to Sarana Cephas, the Solicitor General, is because that was one of the avenues that I was looking at that could be fully utilized to bring the problem under control. We're talking about the intervention of the criminal justice system. We're talking about law enforcement. It's like whatever it is murder. Whether you kill to advance your business interests, whether you kill to advance your political interests, whether you kill someone to get a favorable response from a court, or whether you kill someone because you're in love with some kind of woman who loves you so badly, killing is killing, murder. And the way some societies bring this thing under control is to deal with it on the basis of that criminal fact. And this is why I'm concerned that our chief prosecutor of the Republic of Liberia is not alarmed at these kind of suggestions. It's not just the mention of the monetary bribe, but the killing of young Liberian girls as virgin. You know, the pushback was not sufficient at all. Not sufficient at all.
Yeah.
And so this is where my disappointment lies. Because for us to put a handle on this thing is for the criminal justice system to work to some level of effectiveness and efficiency to bring these culprits to justice, setting an example. You see, one thing about Liberia is the reason why sometimes the solution don't work is we lack consistency. We lack persistence. We talk about the Ali Yancey case and the Tobot example, but that is the only example we have. There was no consistency in applying that method that anybody engaging in this act, this is what you will face. So the deterrent effect got missing along the way. So we're not consistent in the application of our laws. We're not persistent in the application of our laws. So as a result, these issues keep falling through the cracks. Our criminal justice system need to be overhauled. We need to increase our investigative capacity so that these kind of crimes can be tracked, so that individuals that are responsible can be prosecuted and face the full weight of the law. I think that's one of the ways we will bring it down.
Under President Doe, his defense minister, Grady Allison, was accused of engaging in ritualistic murder of police patrolman Melvin Pine. And that was the case that was televised, and some say there was another story to it. But I just wanted to mention about when you said consistency. So Tobot did it once, Doe did it once, and that's it. So we really don't have things to look at. So if you were talking to President Weah now, what would you recommend for Serena Cephas? Dismiss her?
Well, no. First, we have to do a panel. You know, sometimes we have to give people the opportunity to defend themselves. We recommend a panel of a little commission of investigation, you know, to really probe into today's phone call, this recording, and let's find out. I mean, and find out the position that the Justice Minister, the Solicitor General took, you know, with regard to this. This man did not dismiss this thing. He didn't dismiss the woman. He didn't distance himself. But he's finding solution, trying to create finding amicable solution between this woman and the accomplice. And here we're talking about 42 cows and all of these things.
I had 77.
77.
That's the new MAV 477.
And this is the man that's supposed to lead the effort in prosecuting ritualistic murder. He's not alarmed by its measure for somebody suggesting it to him. I think it was an inquiry.
We have a caller, but before the caller, I want to play a little more of that phone conversation.
With the Human Health Act, he said, look at Cephas. He said, even the president and the Michael, I don't want to run an operation when we need to go get the human health. So I told you, I came to human health, that where the problem came. Then he said, I'm breaking some. I know. What he said is that he went and put his life on the line and took an oath for me. He said, I'm breaking the oath if I'm not to the human health. I said, absolutely not. I said, if I got to suffer, go to jail, whatever the case is, I will not do human health. I will text it to you. I'll come and text you again and like run number. And also for it, that where the biggest problem, then he took the truck. He said that he will use the truck. He said you and him got something.
So, Mr. Cooney, to your point, this is a big case. What did Serena Cephas ask for? Watara's number. And Watara is the guy who Ofori is taking out, who is asking for this 77 cows.
And Dennis, let me just add. Just the other day we were on the show, we talked about the government appointing an assistant minister for branding.
Yeah.
How this undercut the whole idea of branding our country. This is our Solicitor General on tape. Branding is not just, branding has, for me, in my opinion, branding has everything to do with the conduct of public officials that are reflected for people to see. That's how they put a brand on our country.
Thank you.
It's not somebody going to go in a laboratory to go say, this is Liberia brand.
Thank you.
Bringing is our collective behavior as public officials and as citizens of the Republic of Liberia.
Let me take one caller here. We got 3 callers lined up here. Caller Mohammed Salia Dukle, you are live.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Salah Dukle, calling from Australia. I just want to make my point regarding the question of does it work? Well, many of us who've attended religious schools, they do tell us, I don't know whether Mashek has said it already or Mohammed has said already, they do tell us that the devil is very busy. In our own religious concept, we are told that the devil promised God he will fight by every means possible to get people astray, to get against the word of God. So if you think you get fooled by thinking it works, but if you kill 100 cows, you kill 100 people, whatever going to happen for you or whatever you're going to achieve in that was already signed, going to be achieved anyway. Whether you do it or not, that's going to be done. Probably you can ask God through prayers, something can be changed, but whatever outcome you have was already destined for you. So the greed, what Muhammad Sari said, I think that's the main thing. Greed. Whether you do that or not, your outcome was already setting. So it's the greed that really pushed people into it. That's the point I want to make.
Thank you, sir. You can hang up now. Let me go to our next caller. That's call up with 0708. You're live. Go ahead, call up your last 4 digits 0708. Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, Mr. John.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And what's your name, sir?
Francis Davis.
Francis, go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, I'm coming from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
I just went to Francis Davis. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, you put a question to our guest. You said about the ritualistic killing. You say in Liberia, where does it come from? Okay, and there's an article that came out. It was on front page Africa about a community in Monrovia called God Bless You Community. Now that name, God Bless You Community, if you read the article, it will give you a little historical perspective about this killing. Going back to 1960 and has a connection with Nigeria. Somebody came from Nigeria, was brought in. And for me, I grew up in Bahamas and lived through this killing that went on. And Mr. Sherry there, I think he talked about it a little. So I had an experience where we couldn't even go out. In the evening, after 6 o'clock, you couldn't venture out.
Yeah.
A certain time from October, November, and December was a very crucial time. Grew up in the 60s and the 70s. Your mother would go out looking for us, bring us in, and then they would lock us up. And some of those names that came out tonight, those names have been around from the 60s until the 70s before something was done about it. But not after that, nothing happened. And just last year, if you remember, a young man was killed in Pulibo, and it was a riot that went on. And if you remember, I just wanted to give that little historical perspective on that.
Thank you.
So God Bless You Community, if you Google that, you will have a little historical perspective what really happened, how this thing came about in our country.
Thank you so much, Francis. Few comments here. James Tanu said that lady is a bloody criminal. Marie Pade, that's what you do. Most of the people from that end believe in killing people. I don't know which end. I would suspect southeastern Liberia. I may be wrong too. He said ritualistic killings happens in America and all over the world too. It is just easier for people to get away with it in Africa. All around it happened. And Kafuma say, you know, Kafuma Sware recording hide man, or some say heart or ha man. It's actually hard. And those who remember that time very well, they used to say, too late, as I learned. Because if you were caught, it means you were too late to get home. So they call that too late. Yanni said Toba was the medicine for ritualistic killers. He didn't play with them. They were given ultimate punishment. And again, that was just one instance of the 9 years. I'm not saying that was too little, but that's just one. We wait our leaders do more. Okay. Dave just said, don't forget, rich people are looking for transplant also. So it is not about ritualistic killings alone. And that's a very good point. This whole idea of transplant human parts, rich people are buying people all over the world. Francis Wilson said, don't just say Africa. Ritualistic killings are global, all over Europe, all over South America, with the Indians everywhere. And if you follow the various history, it is about greed and it is about good versus evil. It is not greed, but total ignorance. No human blood helps you to get a job, go to school, and learn a trade. Sadly, you have so-called educated people supporting such medieval practice where our law enforcers. And Japa agreed with that. Hamilton Zilli say, can you guys remember the death of Dr. Obi during presidency of Dr. Turbot? Dr. Obi was killed because many government officials in the Turbot government wanted him killed so as to use his parts for ritualistic purpose. That is, I don't know if that's true or a stretch, but that's another conspiracy that we heard. We still have Francis. All right. Let's come to we started talking about this already. Again, first, let's zero in on Ellen Cochran, as Mr. Cooney would say. Who is Ellen Cochran? Is she and the Ellen phenomenon? Is it good for Liberia? Because this is the only way now we are getting the inside scoop of what is going on. Is Ellen Cochran the medicine for people that do things in the dark, or she herself needs to be brought to book? Let's look at Ellen Cochran for a while, Mr. Sheriff.
Just real quick, I just want to push back on the last text there regarding Justin Obi. Justin Obi, from the oral history that we have and some of the research that I have done, Justin Obi was clearly convicted of the mass murder of Methodist Bishop Brown and some of the and I think two other associates of the bishop. So Justin Obi was tried. I believe this is in the late 1960s, and Justin Obi was executed by hanging in the latter part of 1971. So that's a totally different case. He wasn't ritualistically murdered. Just want to get that fact clear. So who is Ellen Cochran? Ellen Cochran, from what the first time I heard of Miss Cochran was towards the middle part of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, when she served as the director of the Liberian Airport Authority. And there were issues which, I don't know the details of those issues, but it was definitely something around corruption. She and her boyfriend, I believe it was at the time. But at this time, she was recording everyone and their mother, right? So she went everywhere with, doing recordings. And these guys willingly talk. I don't understand. She goes to someone's house and she's sitting with them with a recorder and she's asking these questions, these trick questions, and guys just oblige. And so she did a lot of recordings. At the time, she was held by the opposition as the champion. So now the table has turned. This is the very Ellen Cochran who is now again recording. But I want to speak to a little bit about, this kind of recording, then is that speaks to something more profound. Liberian journalism has really gone to bed. Liberian journalism is no longer investigative. Programs like this should, like ours, right here, focus on Liberia, should be promoted in Liberia. I'm talking about investigative journalism going beyond the news. There is the news, and there is the news beyond the news, right? News is extraordinary. And now you have to go beyond the news to give analysis. You don't get that anymore in Liberia. Everything is in hiding, right? So if you have someone who has the proclivity to record someone, to record at every drop of, at every phone conversation, they're going to make news. And that's what she's doing now. So in the process, what she's doing is she's making news all over the world. Here we are talking about her. This is a publicity definitely that, that she wants. Besides that, she's trying to get something accomplished. And I think that she's getting that accomplished. So how do you solve this, phenomena? You open up, right? Mr. Cooney talks about the branding. So who is the branding person that's going to come out to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, right? The best public relation is just doing and not talking. So that branding person, whoever it is, needs to now get to work to let the Justice Minister, to let the Solicitor General know that he needs to come out of the woodworks. He needs to come out as soon as possible, to let Oforidia and others know that they need to come out, to let the President of the Republic knows that, Mr. President, this is a big topic, right? Your Solicitor General has been involved in a secret recording. So you need to come out and do something about this. I think at the very least, there needs to be a thorough investigation of the Solicitor General. Again, I have gone on record to say that, whatever the Solicitor General mentioned during this recording is not an indictable offense. However, it tarnishes him, a bit, to say the least.
Thank you. Ellen Cochran has learned is an incredibly smart woman. She probably the first Liberian to reach at the level she did in the military, piloting the military plane and all that. Went to MIT, went to Harvard. Incredibly smart, right? And we also saw that quite recently she was in the news again. And this is how it was reported in the papers in America. A Georgia woman has pleaded guilty to stealing over $6 million in fraudulent COVID-19 relief loans between April and June of 2020. 49-year-old Hunter Vampet, that's the other name she goes by, submitted 6 fraudulent PPP loans that would have netted her $7.9 million if fully funded, according to the DOJ. As a result of that case, Ellen Cochran faces 30 years imprisonment over $6 million fraud in Georgia state. Ellen, as I also learned, the name Cochran was, I think, the name of the ex-husband, but I think her maiden name is Kwame, Ellen Kwame, if that is true. So I'm trying to see really who is Ellen Cochran and why all these guys falling for her. Anytime she talks, they're ready to talk. Mr. Cooney, you are in law enforcement. How does this reflect on the government? The government first pardon and pull back the pardon. Now she's back. She used that time she used the guinea fowl, right? And the other cows. This time what is the reflection of the Liberian government? We hearing this, and maybe we should encourage what she's doing, or what do we do with her?
No, listen, it doesn't have any good reflection on the government, and this is why I talk about introduce the branding. We are in the process of branding, or maybe perhaps rebranding, and all of these issues are coming about where the Solicitor General is involved, where you have this very cunning and manipulative lady is there entrapping people here and there. And the sad thing is that, no one has really taken up the responsibility to investigate this woman. Just like Brother Sheriff said, We all going by public information of who she is, how smart she is, but no one has done an actual investigation as to even those things that are being reported, that those are places that are within her reach. How did she get there? How was she recruited to the United States Air Force? How did she, if she went to MRT, how did she get to MRT? And people are just are quick to rush to, the story, to publish the story, and nobody is doing an in-depth investigation, because I really find it strange. I'm a law enforcement officer. Given the rank that she reached, when you reach that rank, that officer grade rank, I mean, there's a certain way you talk. There are certain things that you do. And this is why I'm concerned about her ethics as a military person, of a professional comportment. All of these things are, these are things we need to investigate. But in our rush to sensationalize the news and take credit or blame whatever government is in power, we don't investigate these things. We just go with the story. So right now the story is, the Solicitor General is in this ritualistic thing. And Ellen Cochran gonna go free again for another time to blow up another story. And this is how this woman is maintaining herself relevant. But I think there should be much more than that. There should be an investigation of this woman. Let's really know who she is. You remember that very talkative attorney who was behind Donald Trump for this Stormy Daniel business? People investigated him and he kept quiet, because he had it on a closet, leaving it, and I look at it, Avinante or Gavinante, whatever his name is. This guy was gaining such notoriety to the point where he was even being considered for some elected office in the Democratic Party. He was to be a candidate in the Democratic Party. But then people begin to investigate him and say, look, this guy is not all he's cracked up to be. We've cracked up Ellen Cochran to be this very smart, well-learned. If Ellen is so smart, where is this belief in the witchcraft, this wizard thing that she owns, sacrifice, and all of these things? I think we need to probe a little bit deeper into her. And for me, look, I know Liberian society. I know maybe why people confess so easily to her. Most of the people that confess to her are men doing that confession. So I don't know what magic she's spraying on them. I mean, this lady got the director of police to leave a national security meeting convened by the president of the Republic of Liberia, where she was an item in that national security discussion. The director of police left, went straight to the woman's house. We are coming for discussing you. Don't use RIA, use Africos. I don't know who has that kind of power. So for me, this is why I'm saying we need to look at her. Because like you said, if there's one government opposition celebrate, until when you get to power, she start doing it. This woman need to be cut down. She's not ethical. She's not professional.
Mr. Kune, I think you should. Let's go back like this. First of all, those of you on the panel admitted that or gave credence that these things work. So who knows how many cows she had killed to get the police director to leave the meeting? But gentlemen, let's conclude on this, right? What do we do now with this? Because this ritualistic killing thing is not going away. It comes out, we discuss it, it goes away. Another virgin is killed, another child is killed, another human part is being extracted. How can we control this thing? What do we do? And when I say what do we do, I'm talking about not just the government, I'm talking about leaders, I'm talking about the citizens, I'm talking about religious leaders, I'm talking about leaders in every respect. What do we do as a country to eradicate this? This is nonsense. I don't believe it works. I believe these people are stupid and ignorant, and they keep doing this kind of thing. How do we control this? How do we clamp down? How do we eradicate this?
So let me start, and then maybe Brother Sherry will have the last saying. Waplo Institute got a lot of smart people, so sometimes you like to give them the chance to come.
Waplo, every time you say something, you got to give credit to Waplo Institute. You know,
because I respect that institute.
I'm from Waplo Institute to focus on Liberia. You can't make this stuff up.
You can make it up.
We can't make that stuff up.
What's the highest grade in Waplo Institute, just for our audience here?
The highest grade was 6th grade, man. 6th grade. You know, I think it's going to 9th grade now. You know, I'm telling you, man.
All right.
But then there's on a much more serious note. I disagree with you that the ritualistic thing doesn't work. That the power that Satan is roving around, devouring people, sending his messengers. So I think there is some reality to that. But in terms of how we confront it as a society, I do agree with you. It has to be an all-country approach. First of all, we have to start with education. And again, we're not talking about classroom education. Education at every level of society, from the community level, our respective towns and villages, our churches, our institutions, letting people know that this kind of behavior is not acceptable. Let us, give information to our people. Then on the other side of it, is the law enforcement piece that I continue to advance. Some of the comments are true. Look, there is a kind of a form of ritualistic killing that go across the world. It's not just Liberia, it's not just Africa. But like I said, the distinction, the more you go to an advanced society, the issue is better dealt with. They have the infrastructure for investigation, the criminal justice system is functioning, and people are held accountable. In our situation, those institutions are weak, and we have to lay emphasis on developing these institutions. I mean, it's very difficult to even solve the regular murder in Liberia. The regular murder in Liberia. And that tells you the level to which our institutions need to be reformed. And then we have to be very consistent in the application of the law. It can't be after every 20 years we hold one person responsible for ritualistic murder. That will not cut it. It has to be consistency. Consistency gives deterrence. It is deterrence that cannot control human behavior. So it is education among the citizens. It is our law enforcement effort, the criminal justice process, that I think will make this thing to go away. And this is why we believe that there has to be some kind of hearing for the Solicitor General to provide clarification, because this man, he's the point man when it comes to the prosecution of these things. And for him to be caught in that kind of conversation, I think he needs to provide some clarity for us to go forward.
Thank you. Hamilton Zilli say, why brand, Mr. Coney? Your behavior should brand you out. Abby Tyler talking about Ellen Cochran says she is very intelligent. My former classmate at St. Teresa Convent, it's just so sad to see the turn of events. And Hawa Meska say, Sir Coney, you despise her, but she eats and wine with your black president and is surrogate. You can't separate her now. She's part of your. Eventually, say, how can we investigate or say something when on the tape Ellen says, Ofori says, Weah himself is involved in sacrificing virgins? I don't know what Weah would prefer. Anyway, let me not make that joke. People are getting in trouble. and Tavina Ko said, Brother Kunu, your government does not lead, nor act. So this is another dead case. Let's move on. Dave just says she's not smart, just bunch of greedy, inept country children in government.
My government, you're talking to like that?
Right. Martin Brown said, Dennis, the unfortunate thing about the whole thing, the religious community is not speaking about it, about everyone is just muted. What is going on with our Liberian society? Let's get to the conclusion of this whole case, right? Let's hear from Serena C. first at the conclusion of the telephone conversation.
Okay, John, take the number to me. Thank you. I will call you by 6 o'clock. Yeah?
Okay, my husband. All right.
all this thing about ritualistic killing, just text Watara number to me. The guy who is doing these sacrifices, who is asking for 4 virgins at the rate of 12,000 per head for the 8,000. Text Watara number to me, and Ellen responded, "Okay, my husband." Mr. Sharif, you can make this stuff up. How do we move on? How do we
Yeah,
advance?
it's you can't make this stuff up. Here is something that I like to say, before I come to how government can find us, how we all collectively can find a solution to this. You have President William B.S. Tubman, who was accused. People said this households, people oral tradition, after the Tubman years, even up to the 90s, prior to the Civil War, elders would talk about the Tubman years in great details. And one of the things that will come out of these conversations was how Tubman was involved with ritualistic killing. But Tubman, we all know that Tubman is celebrated in Liberia after the April 12th revolution or military coup. Uh, Tubman was held in high esteem by the coup makers. And so Tubman is still held in high esteem in Liberia. His birthday is celebrated as a national holiday. No one goes to work, or public buildings are closed. And that's how Tubman is revered in Liberian history. And you're talking about someone who was, as many would say, the chief motivator of all of the ritualistic deaths that occurred in Maryland County for several years, going back to the 1940s. So you're giving, honor to someone who's engaged in this. This is in itself, a motivation for others to say, our leader did it, and this is what happened. He ruled for 27 years, and look at his place in history. So there needs to be an investigation. So if you're asking for a solution, there needs to be an investigation of the Tubmans of this world to see what their place is in Liberian history vis-a-vis racialistic killings, right? So that's where we start. And then one of the things that I mentioned is greed, right? So what do you do in a situation where people are greedy for wealth and power and social status in society? What do? Government job in Liberia is very enticing. You find government officials in Liberia who are well paid. Government officials are better paid in Liberia. Liberian public officials, right, are better paid than anywhere in West Africa, are better paid than, I will argue, the United States of America. That shouldn't happen. And so everyone is fighting to get there, right? When a child goes to school, when you are in elementary school and your mom and dad starts to tell you, if you graduate, you're going to be Minister of Finance. I want you to be Minister of Finance. You want to be Minister of Foreign Affairs, and you want to be an ambassador, and all these different things. And people think that they can't do it. To get into these places is they must do something, right? So anything less than that is a failure. Anything less than holding down a government position is a failure. So people will do anything and everything to get there. And ritualistic killing, unfortunately, becomes a means for a lot of people to get there. So government needs to disincentivize, right, the public sector, right? As weird as that sounds. I mentioned on our last show, the wage scale right now is so unbalanced. People are getting paid 100 times more than the standard of living or the cost of living in Liberia. So that can't happen. So you want to disincentivize that. You also want to make sure that the justice system plays its role, that fairness and economic equality spreads out to everybody. And so that I think, when you do all of those things, I think we can get a handle on this. I don't know if you can eradicate it right away, but you can get a handle on it by the time you start to do those things.
Yeah, thank you. We have 2 minutes to end the show. So for 30 seconds, Mr. Kuni, what's the Tabata of the week?
Well, the Tabata of the week is to hear the Chief Prosecutor of the Republic of Liberia not pushing back hard when a citizen or an individual is making criminal suggestion to him that I find to be the real Tabata of the week. It's Tabata.
Mr. Sharif, 30 seconds.
My Tabata of probably the month, and it goes back to July, where Senator Darius Dillon donated $7,500 to the Ministry of Health, right, for the fight against COVID. And I think George Weah didn't like this, and so the Minister of Health, I believe her name is Dr. Jala, that's her last name.
Yeah.
She publicly, right, returned the $7,500 to Senator Darius Dillon, right? I mean, this is really, so why couldn't she use this money, donate this money to some foundation? To me, that's nonsense. That's my Tabata of the month.
And not that Darling what is Tabata is Dumuya at gaining strong man. My Tabata is what is going on between the Cummins force and the Buakai force. Do they really want to fight or they don't want to fight? Every time on emails, they fight. Publicly they say, we can't fight. Come on now. If you decide to fight, fight. If you don't want to fight, just stop wasting our time. If you want to be dog, be dog. If you want to be cat, be cat. We want a fight because this is election time. Oh, people bringing other Tabata issue, yo.
That God thinking, and I mean mention the papa need to know that you.
My Tabata of the year is Guinea.
The man mentioned the papa need after he banned me.
No, everything that the papa. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. We also want to thank our viewers for staying here with us tonight. You know, this whole idea of ritualistic killing, it needs to stop. And we need our government to be serious about it. Up to now, we have not heard the Solicitor General. We have not heard our Chief Prosecutor say anything. Or we have not heard, law enforcement of anything of any kind. According to Ellen Cochran, the guy who was, the Watara guy was put in jail, but was being released by some higher of all these things called for investigation. So let's hear from you, Mr. Government Official. On that note, we'll say thank you so much, gentlemen, and thank to our viewers for staying here with us. Whether you believe ritualistic killing work or not, whether you believe Ellen Cochran was using guinea fowl or using human hairs, whatever, or Serena Cephas, Nathaniel McGill, or George Weah, or any of these people part of ritualistic killing in Liberia, we are all Liberians and we must work hard to eradicate this nonsense. Good night and God bless you.
We are